I've never met my father. I've known a man, I've known a stranger who has battled a disease for as long as I've known him. And I hope one day I'll be able to meet the real man he is, but it's really confusing for a 5-year-old to try to wrap your head around why dad's never home and why the cops are always at your house. One thing, like to this day, that I don't think I'll ever forget is the sound of like a credit card tapping. And that's what I always associate with substance use, is like the sound of using a credit card to break up pills. In 2017 and 18, we ended up moving back to Maine because my stepdad got out of the military. And my dad put up the front that he was clean. And so I was like, this is amazing. My dad's back in my life. My mom's gonna let me see him. We were sitting on my couch and he was holding my sister and he began nodding off. And my mom confronted him. And that's when I began to come to terms with that. I don't know if my dad will ever want to get help. I also realized that I am not gonna be the reason he gets help. And that really sent me into a downward spiral. So in 2018, I was about 13 years old, and that's when I started battling anxiety and depression because in my head it was my fault. I wasn't good enough, I didn't do enough, I just wasn't important, and so it was always that the drugs were gonna be more important. I stood in the middle of the road, screaming into the phone, begging him to please just get clean for me. I said, you don't even have to be clean, just be in my life. I was so desperate for my father. I didn't care if he was shooting up right next to me. I just wanted my father in my life. And when he told me that the drugs will always be more important, I feel resentment and I feel angry, and I'm so angry. But I'm not angry at my dad. I'm angry at this disease that has overtaken him, and I'm so angry for everyone else that has to go through this because I know I'm not unique in my story. The last time I spoke to my dad was on the phone a couple months ago because I message him a couple times a year and I just say, hey, you alive? Like, what's going on? And that's when I asked him if he was clean, and he told me that he never lied to me and that if he didn't do drugs, he'd kill himself.
Paul wants up home 1083, Preble by Willard. How we doing?
Good, you?
Drove a little fast out of that lot, don't you think?
I know.
What's going on?
A little scared.
Why?
That's all. I don't know.
All right, turn around.
Yep.
You're gonna be under arrest for OUI.
The alcohol was a major problem, but the pot was even more of a problem. It all started when I was 13 years old. Vaping was the first substance I found. With nicotine, with it being my first substance I started with, it's still a substance I do now. It is one of the hardest substances that I have come across to quit. I have tried quitting nicotine about 8 times between nicotine patches, nicotine gum, just using all of my options. A bunch of my buddies had older siblings and we would go down to like their dog parties, or we would just find our way there. And I would just see all the stuff going around, like the drinks and the bongs and the blunts, and it would end up in my hand somehow. They were just like, do you guys want to try? And I'm like, yeah, like the older kids are offering, why not? I thought it was safe because I'm watching everyone else use it, so I figured there was nothing wrong with it. It led to me wanting to not live anymore and me needing it every day to just wake up and get out of bed. I had lost 35 pounds and my mom's just watching me get thinner and thinner and thinner, and she's trying to feed me and get me to eat, but I just won't eat because I have to be high. So a friend of mine took her own life a little while back, and after I told my mom that I've been attempting too, and all of that, my mom had her come over when I said, no, don't tell her. She came over, and the one thing she said to me was, if I could have done anything to save my baby girl and get her the help she needed, I would have done anything, but now I get to see her sit on my mantle. And I just lost it after that. I looked at my mom and I'm like, what am I doing to my mom? Like, my mom's taking photos of me in cop cars trying to teach me lessons, and I'm showing up late at night and crashing my car and just doing all this stuff, and it just wasn't worth doing that to her. So I thought about both of them, and I chose to go away.
Kind of that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was realization.
How you doing?
Good, you?
I'm all right. What's going on? You mind stepping out of the car?
I sure can. It's good to
Jameson.
see you, Sergeant.
So great to see you too. So I hear nothing but good things are happening. So what's going on?
I'm very glad to hear about that. After that night you arrested me, it honestly kind of saved my life because I didn't think I wanted to lean towards recovery, but after that night it was an eye-opener that I did have a problem and I did need to steer in a new direction of life, and I chose to go the way to detox, sober living, and rehab.
Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you, I appreciate
Good
it.
seeing you. Take care.
Thank you. Over the last 8 months, we have spoken to several thousand students and adults about high-potency THC, alcoholism, and addiction, and we think it's making a difference. Because, I mean, I've had kids come up to me and talk to me and be like, hey, I haven't smoked weed in a week, and I'm like, congratulations, like, that's amazing. Like, keep going. And I've had also other kids come up to me and say, hey, like, I've been a year. And I'm like, you keep going. Like, don't you feel so much better? You're a year sober. Like, how do you feel? And they always say, I feel great. It's inspiring. Keeps me going with, I want to keep pushing forward and what I'm doing, staying clean, staying sober.